Welcome guys, in this video we are going to see the main difference between arrays and objects and what is the benefit of using objects over array. So let's get started. So I have this index.php file where I have this script tag. I'm going to create an array here straight away. So I'm just going to you're going to see the syntax here. So I say let and I'm going to create a variable first, so it's going to be array and 1. I'm just giving this name to it, and to create an array we use the brackets like this, and inside it you can define the values. So if I say here 23 or 45, this is going to be the array values. So any kind of values you might have, numbers, you might have some string here, you can have that. So you might have some float data, you can have anything like that. Now if you want to print these values, you can use the index of it. So if I simply say here console.log and I say here array and 1, now what I want to check, I want to print one of the values, so I simply pass the index of it. So I say 0 to print 23, and I go here and refresh, and we get so I have a wrong spelling here, sorry about that. I save this and refresh, we get 23. Now I want to print the last value of it, so in that case we can do this, that we can check the length of it and minus 1. So what I do, instead of passing 0, I check the length of it, the number of elements we have, and minus 1. So it's going to get this. We're going to do the minus 1 because index starts from 0 in arrays, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this way. So we need to do the minus 1. So let's do that. So I simply copy this. I'm going to remove the 0. I'm going to put this dot length and minus 1. Alright, now if I go here and refresh, we get 23.1, which is the last value. Now you might have array within array. So for that, the syntax is something like this. If I just break this here like this. So we might have another array inside it. It's going to be another number, and let's say these are the numbers here, and comma, the elements in array are separated with comma. Then you have the values here too. That's comma going to be. All right. So we have now these values. Now I'm going to add one more array so that we will have some kind of realistic data here. So then now the thing is, if I want to print these values, we can loop through it. So yeah, depending on whatever you prefer, you can do a for each or a for loop. So I'm going to show the syntax quickly, and after that we will see the objects. So here what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a for each. So whenever you deal with the objects and arrays, it's better to use for each. It's easy to use for each. So all you need to do is get the array in a variable and then get that variable. So I'm going to use that variable here, and I'm going to pass a dot, and then I'm going to be for capital E each. And when you do this, you can pass a function inside it. Now when you pass a function, you can pass a function like this, or you can pass an arrow function. So to pass arrow function, you don't need to write function. You simply remove this, and here you pass an arrow, just like this. Now to get the access of these values, we can pass a name. You can give it any name. I'm gonna call it item. So array item, and here we need to console log. Console.log item. Okay. Now we see here, when I refresh the page, and in console log you will see that it is printing all the values. So it's first we have this array here, then we have the another array in all three arrays, then the here when it comes, it prints each element of the array one by one. The way we want it, it's doing it. Now if you want to, you can still go and loop through further arrays too, if you want to print it like this. Currently it is printing straight away. So you can do what you can do basically, you can check if because we have array and we have numbers, we have string as well, so we can check if the element is array, then loop through. To print the values of inner array, we're going to use a condition first. So I'm going to check if the value inside this loop is any array, then further loop through for each. So what we can do, we simply can say here, all right, so the syntax is going to be capital A array dot, and then we say is array. And when you say is array, we need to pass the value that we want to check. So here I'm going to pass the item here. So if the item is array, this is going to return true. So I'm going to put this inside an if condition. So if it is array, what we want to do, we want to loop through it. So here we're going to use for each. So I'm going to say here item dot, and here I say for each again. And this time we need to pass the function again. So I pass the arrow function here, just the way we did before. Now instead of item, I'm going to call it element. And the element, I'm going to console log here now. All right. And I'm going to comment this one out this time, just to see what we get. Here, I refresh. Now, you will see the values we are getting, and we have 234 here, 435 here, so we are getting straight away those values. It is looping through again and again. You can do this straight away with the for loop as well, or in nested loop, because we have the nested array here, so you can use that as well. So currently we have the data going on this way. The thing is, when we work with object, we can do the similar stuff as well at that time. Now let me show you an example here. So I save this for now, and I'm going to comment this out. Now we have this data array and element array inside it, but what if you have data something like some user data, where you have username or age? So it is a lot easier to work with when you use object, when you pass the key and value pair in the object. So let me show you. So I simply say here that name, and let's make the names equals an object. So to create an object, you simply pass this is an object. Currently it is empty object. So we want to pass some values. So I say here, let's say players, and I want to pass values inside it. So I simply pass an array. An array going to contain number of players. So each player data going to be inside an object. So I'm going to create an object, and I'm going to give it a name and age. So here I'm going to say name, and you provide the name. So I say I'm going to pass a string here, mark, and then comma. Just like you separate an array, you separate here using comma. Now we need to pass age, and age going to be a number, simply. Now it's going to copy. So how to separate, we need to pass comma again. I'm just going to copy and paste this so that we quickly have some. Alright, so you can see that we have the data like this. Now this formatting of data is completely different from this, and having inside array values like this is not that easy. If you want to set a value to an index, it's better to use the object. And when you be working with the data, you will be using objects more, because objects are also good and better in performance as compared to arrays. Now here, if I want to loop through this data, what we can do is simply we can use the same loop the same way we did before. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna paste here. I'm just gonna say here for names, and I want to say for each on this one, and it's the similar way, exactly the same way. You can pass the name of the item, you can call it item or anything. I call it item. Now as we have access to item, so I want to loop through this inside this players. So currently I'm saying okay, loop through inside names. So if I want to access the players, all I need to do is just put a dot and put players, and it is going to get me the access to this simply. I don't have to provide any other thing or index or anything like that. In objects, you just point the dot and you can get the access to the value. Now here, if I say console.log, I pass the item, so it should have these values. So let's see that. I save this and go here, refresh, and you can see that each object has these values. Now if you want to print the value as well as the age, all you need to do is dot and the element name. So simply here, what I'm going to say, let me make a string here. So I say item dot name, and here we're gonna say is, and plus is for concatenating, to joining two things, a string and the number. We are joining here so that it prints in the string. So here I say the item name with, for example, Mark is 56 years old. So we need to pass here the item dot age, and here at the end we can say all right, so it's gonna print the complete line here. So let's gonna refresh here. So it says Mark is 56 years old. I need to provide the space, so I add here. You can see that it's just printing as we expect with the exact numbers. You can have a lot of data here, not limit to anything. You might have here phone numbers, and that might be anything, or then you might have here address. Now if you have address is not going to be a single string. You might have another object inside it, so you might be street, some street, all right, and then comma, then city, you know, some city. So you get the idea. We have this kind of data going on inside for each element, for each user here, and you can have this in your data. In arrays you can also have this kind of data, but if you're dealing with a lot of data coming from, and you're dealing with database, it's better to use objects for performance point of view. Is better. And yeah, this is how you use it. And so now I have the address for him, so we can what we can do, we simply can print this address, you know. So let's do that. Yeah, so what I want to do, I want to see if we have the address present. We want to print it. So what we can do, simply here you can write a condition if, and like we have the access to item, and we have the access to name the same way we have the access to address. So here I say if item dot address, so it is going to return if there is address. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut this and gonna put this inside else, and here I'm gonna put this, and here I'm just gonna add the city. So here I'm just gonna say plus years old, and from, and simply item dot here I'm gonna say address dot, they're gonna be city, simply. So it should get the access to that. Let's see what happens. I refresh the page. So for this we get Mark is 56 years old and from some city. So you get the idea. For this particular, we have the address. If I put this in anyone else, it is going to just going to behave the same way. So I'm just gonna add here. Let's add another city, and it should work as expected. So let's refresh the page, and we have the John as well from another city, and this is some city. So you get the idea, like how deep this can be. You might have 10 or 20 more columns here, data types here, more nested. So this is something, the benefits of objects are it's easy to organize and easy to deal with. And yeah, the code for this video is available to download. The link is in the description, so check there. Thank you for watching.